The Wyfold Challenge Cup. French boat to our left, Aviron Grenoblois. And we've got the Army Rowing Club on the right-hand side. The Wyfold Challenge Cup, coxless fours, and you have to bear that in mind when you see them at the start. Makes it very difficult. In fact, it's coxless, and the Army are finding that out right now. Is the umpire going to be getting busy? They're getting pretty close. I think the Army have sorted out their steering without intervention from the umpire.
And it's the French crew you need to look at the moment, because you look at that, they were heading for the booms themselves. And this Army crew, the rounds in red, they came through the qualifiers, so they've been down this course before. They did that on Friday, and that would have settled their nerves. But look at them, the French are looking strong, and they've come out, kept the rate high. And I think in a moment we might see Richard Phelps, the umpire, getting involved, because looking at this shot, Tim, we've got the French just making sure that they're okay, away from the booms. But what we want to see is a little bit of the crews being separated.
Very fast French crew, this, who finished 4th at the French Senior Championships in June. They've medalled at French domestic level, most of this boat, so keep an eye on them. It's a very international event again, the Wyfold, isn't it? The Grasshopper Zurich boat beating up a Thames Rowing Club by a length last year in the final. But in this first round heat, looks like it'll be a French victory, but the Army will have other ideas this early on in the race. A lot can still happen. The water's good, isn't it? Although, having said that, the rain is definitely falling quite heavily at that end of the course. Not so much down at the finish, but we've got some rain at that end of the course. The water, though, is not too bad. It's pretty still at the moment.
Yeah, these are pretty good conditions. If I was out there rowing today, which of course I always want to be when I'm looking at these pictures, you'd not be overly concerned about anything. You know, there's a light bit of wind, the water's flat, and as you can see, the boats are moving smoothly through it. And it's all about this French crew at the moment, Aviron Grenoblois, who row, I think, on a lake out there in France, so will be not as used to this river rowing. But they have come out here and they have looked like they are pretty set up for this Wyfold event.
Very different challenge, isn't it? You can tell us a bit about the difference we see around the world. You mentioned we travel around the world watching international regattas, World Cups, World Championships coming up in Florida in September, where it's on the lakes where the water is very different to here, where you've got to contend with the currents on a river.
Yeah, it's interesting. The water actually feels different when you play wherever you are, whether it's a still lake in Switzerland, as we're going to Lucerne next week, or whether it'll be a still lake in Eton-Dorney just down the road. And you just need to get used to it. And then the river, of course, as you say, you've got to deal with the currents, the stream and all the bits that come here. The French crew have chosen to have their bowman steering, which is quite sensible in river rowing, actually. In a 6-lane course, often you see the stroke steers, but have that bit of perspective at the start, be able to feel where the course is, which the bowman can of course do first, and can work really well.
Well, they've got a couple of previous winners in the Army boat. Will Sadler, who's in the 2 seat, won the Princess Elizabeth with Abingdon School back in 2011, and also in the stroke seat, Ben Spencer-Jones won the Prince Albert in 2013 with Imperial College. So they've got some pedigree at Henley Royal Regatta. They've been an unknown commodity coming into this race. They got through qualifiers, but up until then, nobody knew too much about them this summer.
Yeah, and it's interesting that pedigree is there, but looking over on the French crew, they've been racing out there in France and came 4th in their national championships. And we've noticed internationally that the French contingent, the French national squad, is bigger than we've ever seen it. So I think there's a bit of resurgence in the French rowing squad, and that always trickles down to the clubs, which is a really good fallout from that.
Alexander Gasper in seat 3 for the Army, gives us his military history and his educational history, and then his payoff in his little write-up which he's offered everybody is, will always graciously accept a post-race cold drink. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Not too far for him to go to wait for that post-race cold drink. Might be a hot cup of tea this morning.
It might work. And you look at that, the Army crew, they're really driving it through, but it's these moments when you have to concentrate on the steering, keep yourself together, because you're just trying to find a bit of extra speed. The French crew ahead of the Army, they're able to see them, they're keeping their rate high, they're springing through this stroke really nicely, and the grandstands will be appreciating this, because this is strong, loose rowing from the French.
In front of stewards, they've only got a few more strokes to go, the French boat here. The Coxless Fours are heading to the line, and they've led right from the start of the race way back up at Temple Island to down here in front of stewards and to the finish line. Aviron Grenoblois, the French boat, over the line, a couple of lengths to spare as well over the Army Rowing Club boat in the Wyfold Challenge Cup. Very impressive from the French. Keep an eye on them as the rounds progress. They look good.